I want a kiss. Good. Let me give you a kiss. Can I have a cake? That's the time. It's almost 7 a.m.
7?
Uh-huh. Yeah. Okay. So I look like crap. And it's currently 7 a.m. Lorenzo's been up since 5. We are currently still admitted in the hospital. I haven't had a chance to record or upload or anything like that because life has been really cool to us. I know, we've seen Wreck-It Ralph like 500 times, but it's still brand new. Yes. That's Ralph. A bunch of little ones. Yes. That's Ralph. But, what's today? October 30th. We got admitted in the hospital last Thursday. I can't even tell you what date that was. But I left work because my mom called and said that his primary doctor said to bring him to the ER for dehydration. But he had already had a fever for a couple days that wouldn't break and things like that. They said he tested positive for strep when we got here in the hospital, which was scary because that's how this whole journey started in the first place, about a year and a half ago. So it turns out last Thursday when he was admitted, I woke up a little sick that morning, but I tried to kick it. But then while we were here in the ER, I ended up getting super, super sick. And even the doctor that was working on him in the ER was like, you don't look good. You need to go home. You need to get some meds because you can't stay here with him if you want him to get better. So I had to go home and my mom stayed here because I've never felt that sick in my life. So I went home for about 2 nights while I stayed on meds. And then I came back. And it turns out that my mom had called the first night when he was in the ER. And they said that he was positive for strep. But that they wanted to keep him anyway. Not take him, send him home on meds just because his case is so different. You know, with the ileostomy bag and the trach and everything and how it turned out last year. So they wanted to keep him just in case. Well, good thing because they did multiple blood cultures, and the blood cultures where they draw blood, they put it in a jar with certain chemicals or solutions or something like that, and they wait to see if it grows over 24 to 48 hours. Yeah, they're coming in. Okay, I had to take a pausing moment because some nurses came in to change shift because it's 7 a.m. But they did blood cultures. But my mom called me later that night after they had admitted him and said that it turns out they didn't keep him just for strep, that he tested positive for pneumonia. So this kid just likes to rack it all up at one time, in case nobody's noticed yet. So, hey, Scooby. Thank you.
Mommy,
Yes.
Lisa, you're calling.
No one, just me. So he's been in here for a week tomorrow, maybe. I don't even know what day it is, guys. Is it Wednesday? I'm guessing it's Wednesday. Anyways, so every morning they draw blood cultures and send it to the lab. And then they have to wait 24 to 48 hours to see if it grows anything. So we've been pretty unsuccessful. So he's been on a couple different antibiotics, and it's just not killing it off all the way. So every day that bacteria grows adds a couple more days onto his hospital stay. It grew yesterday, so that added 2 to 3 days. So they took more labs this morning. If they grow, it adds another 2 to 3 days. But it turns out he had multiple infections. Like, he had infections that they tested in his trach, in his central line, in both of his lines. They even thought his ileostomy was infected at one point. Like, this kid he just does it big. So we've been in here ever since trying to get the right antibiotic for his infection so they can just give him the boot. And then during all this, my mom's brother had an accident. So not a car accident, just an accident for now. And so he's across the street at the other hospital. So my mom is going back and forth. I'm going back and forth. I haven't been back to work, which is probably not good in my favor, but my family's in distress, and so here I am. So like whenever a doctor comes in to work with him, or if he gets like a dressing change, which is where like his central line, what covers it, they come and they sterilize and they put a new patch on and make it nice and clean. That takes a little while. So while they do that, or while maybe if a family member comes to visit him here, I'm comfortable enough to go across the street, check on my uncle and my mom and the family, and then I'll walk back over here. It is 7. Yeah. It's 7. No, not yet. But yeah, it's been a fun time. So, you know, it all started with that slight fever, and he ended up having fever for like the first 3 days that he was in here still. So he had fever for like over a week. Not as high, not too high though. It was low grade. Like it would get up to like 100.6 or something, and then it would come down. But still, something was wrong because his fever was just prolonging itself. But he's missed a lot of school. I've missed work. But I mean, at the end of the day, you have to do what you have to do for your family, you know? It gets hard because you got bills and everything, but what are you going to do, you know? This is when Jesus come in. Ask for a little help, a little boost, a little support in times like this. But his schedule is so wonky in the hospital. He is up at like 5. He goes back to sleep at like 8:30 or 9. He sleeps until 1. He wakes up. He naps at like 6. And then he wakes up in the middle of the night. And then he's up at 5. So it is absolutely crazy. But I do have like a pumpkin patch vlog that I'm sure that you would have already seen at the beginning of this video, or that I'll post kind of at the end, so that this video isn't just so depressing like a lot of them have been. Like again, excuse my appearance because this child has been up since 5. He just ate cereal, had to change his bag because it leaks 5 times a day. His ileostomy bag, the one that catches his bowel movements. So that was a whole process. And then he wanted cereal. So he was eating cereal, and then he wanted my iPad. So, but the support in life is pretty endless. The support is amazing, I should say. There are some people that I'm close to that I wish could be around more. Not like in a bad way, but like 2 of my favorite people of all time live out of town, and they, you know, people have lives and they can't just get up and run. But just wishing at times like this, those people could be like right here. But I don't know how much longer we'll be in here. I know eventually I might have to go back to work. That's a whole other situation that I'm gonna have to get worked out, but praying on that definitely. But just continuing to go day by day with the support that we have and with the knowledge that we have about his condition. But for right now, he still has 3 blood infections that they're trying to kill off. And if they don't kill the blood infections from his central line, they are gonna have to go in, pull the central line, and do it all over again. So that would be about a half-day's thing up in the OR. We're on his normal floor right now, which is the trach floor. Like, he's not here for his trach, but trach is a major thing in a child, so they always, if you have a trach, they put you on the trach for it, just so you have all the supplies and everything that you need. And then the doctors, for the other reasons that he's here, just make their way to this floor. But if they don't figure out what's going on, then they're gonna have to replace the whole line. Which couldn't be, I mean, it's not a total bad thing, but they're trying to save it. That way they don't have to go back in there and do another surgery. Because it is, they say it's simple because they've been doing it, because they've been doing it for so long. But it is pretty invasive to me because this central line goes right to his heart. So that is scary. And the fact that he has to be put under anesthesia while having pneumonia and then trying to put a central line to his heart. Okay, put all that together. Not very good right now. So hopefully they can save the line. I'll keep everybody updated as much as I can. But yeah, I'm gonna try to get some sleep. I mean, he's kind of wide awake, but his rails are up. He ain't going nowhere. Got to give him a bath later. He's not going to be very happy about that at all. But as you can tell, I'm falling asleep on this camera, so be careful. Okay, well, I might be back with an update later, or maybe tomorrow. But good night, good morning for now. Right there. Careful. So it's a couple days after what you've already seen. I think it's like 3 days after the last time I recorded. I don't know. It's a Sunday night, November 3rd. Everybody's confused and wonky because of time change, but I came home for the first time in a week to get some sleep, and I doubt that's happening because it's already almost midnight. But I unfortunately have to go back to work tomorrow because I've had a lot of time off to be with my son, and yeah, I have to go back to work tomorrow. So my mom is staying with him tonight. The last time I was recording, which was probably a couple minutes ago that you've seen in the video, I said that they, were probably going to replace the central line because there was too much bacteria that they couldn't get rid of. But good news, they did save the line, didn't have to replace it. The bacteria, his blood cultures have been coming back negative for 2 days now, so that's awesome. He might be getting discharged tomorrow after a week and a couple days in the hospital. His antibiotics for his pneumonia finished. I'm sorry, you can hear the TV in the background. I'm watching Cheers. The antibiotics he was on for his pneumonia finished today, so he will be able to continue IV antibiotics here at home for the next 14 days for a blood infection. If they see tomorrow that it actually might be, oh man, so tired I am. If they see tomorrow that it actually might be too difficult to do IV antibiotics at home, then he will have to stay in the hospital until like November 10th or 11th. But we're hoping that bringing him home will be okay. But he will not be allowed to go to school while this is going on because he has to get a dose of antibiotics every couple of hours. So he will be missing quite a bit more school, but I will be going to work, and we still have full-time nurses to be here with him at the house while he's going through this antibiotics process. What was I going to say? I lost my train of thought. This happens to me all the time. Unfortunately, tomorrow I won't be there to speak to any doctors or anything. My mom will have to be doing everything for me or having to call me. honestly, it kind of sucks that I have to go to work when my son is going through everything, but life sucks. Like I said, I came home to get some rest because you never truly rest in the hospital because somebody's coming in literally every 10 minutes with Lorenzo because he does breathing treatments, he does meds. They still hook him up to his antibiotics every couple of hours. They come in and change his diaper. They come in and check his bag. So, and then at 6 in the morning, he gets his shot. And somebody's always in the room at all times, or somebody's accidentally slamming a door, or stomping, or tripping, or turning on the light. I will probably do another update. I don't take videos of him very much because there's honestly, there's never really a point in time when I can record because we can't get the nurses or take pictures of them. So there's always a point in time where there's a nurse or a doctor in the room. So it's really hard to get a recording of him. I can't really record the process of them changing his bag or administering meds because, I mean, like I said, that we're not allowed to record them or take pictures of them or anything. So it's just going to be me talking. Obviously, you've already seen it's just me talking through this whole video, but I'll probably do another video before I post this, which you will already know, but to see what the doctors really decided about him coming home or staying, and I really pray he comes home because he's doing really well right now, knock on wood, and he's ready to come home. He's been asking to come home for days now, so I will keep you posted on what the verdict is. Tell everybody, I'm home. Turn around.
I'm home.
Say, I'm home.
I'm at home.
Okay, we're out and about, but you're released, right? From the hospital?
No.
Yes, you were.
No.
Look at me. Keith. Like out on adventures. Hey, be nice. I look like a mess again. I'm always gonna look like a mess in these videos, apparently. Can't get my curls under control, blah blah blah. I'm tired and I'm ready for bed. But as you can see, Lorenzo is home. He's active, he's playing. His hemoglobin came up before he came home, so they didn't just send him home for fun, and that was my biggest concern. I was like, number one, he is not coming home with his bowel movements black, and he's not coming home if his hemoglobin doesn't come up. If it keeps going down, then he's bleeding inside somewhere, and we're gonna get that fixed before he's discharged. And the next day when they tested it, it had came up, and out of nowhere, his poop stopped being black. So, he is home, he is active, thank God. His stomach is still down, thank God. He came home on antibiotics and 3 more meds. So, keeping up with that is new, but we're doing it. It's kind of always something new, but we're doing it, we're getting through it. He was in the hospital for almost 2 weeks this time. I mean, more videos to come, obviously. He has a bunch of doctor's appointments coming up. I will record what I can because obviously we can't record the doctors or anything like that, or the nurses, so it's kind of hard to video in there. I really don't know how people do it like that, but even if we just whip out our phone for 2 seconds, the nurses are like, you can't record us, you can't get our face, so I'm just gonna chill on that one. But I'll probably cut this part out for sure because I can't remember what I was gonna say. But he is sound asleep right now. It is midnight. He was released yesterday, which was November 5th, I believe. Today's the 6th, yeah. He was released yesterday, November 5th. It was Tuesday. We got home about 4-ish, 4:15. And then I stayed up organizing forever because of course he came home with all kinds of stuff, and then I had to stay up and wait for his meds to be delivered and his equipment and his supplies and everything, and then I had to organize that when it got here, and then I had to explain things to his home health nurses so we could get that all under control. So yesterday was super busy, and then today we took him to the park and things like that. I think if I can get the video pictures somewhere over here or over here, I don't know, I'm not an expert on all that fun editing stuff yet, but yeah, he had a fun-filled day today, and he is tired, as am I. Like, my eyes are small and my face is kind of swollen, so unless I'm just fat, I'm probably just fat. But yes, anyway, he is home, and just a little fun fact, I'm not really going to make a whole video about it, but with Lorenzo being in and out of the hospital so much and with things going on with him and everything, I wanted to be there for him as much as I can be. I didn't want to put it all on my mom. So I resigned from my job on Monday, which was not fun. I loved my job. I loved my boss, the one I worked with every single day. My coworkers were amazing. They made my job fun. It was a really, really hard decision, but Lorenzo will eventually go back to school, probably in about a week or so, after his antibiotics are done. He can't go to school while he's on antibiotics here at home. So when those are done, he'll probably go back to school, and I think I decided to put him in half day instead of full day pre-K, because he's just been going through a lot, and after a full day of school, he's pretty exhausted. So I think I'm gonna do half day pre-K for him for a while. But I'm just gonna kind of be around here for him and, be a mom for a little while. I'm blessed to have that opportunity with the support that I have with the people in my life that are willing to help and, be supportive of the decision that I've made. But even if he goes back to school, I want to make sure that, if he has to be rushed to the doctor, or if there's an emergency, that I'm able to be there and not keep leaving my job in the middle of the day, like, oh hey, I gotta go, because then that's not fair to my coworkers. There have been a lot of big decisions to make in our lives right now, but we just keep on pushing. But thanks, for anybody who watches, that's a big thank you, because it shows a lot of love and support towards us, and we really appreciate that. But like I said, I will try to get more. This video about his hospital stay is just me ranting all the time, will be up, and then I will get as much of about his doctor's appointments and updates as much as I can. Okay, so everybody knows the last time Lorenzo was in the hospital, you just saw 2 seconds ago that I was doing updates in the hospital room, and that they were gonna save the line, but then they thought they were gonna have to change the line because the blood cultures kept coming back positive and this and this and that. So everything has just been super chaotic. I had to resign from my job because there's just so much going on with Lorenzo. And honestly, I'm blessed to have the parents and the family and the friends that I have, because I'm getting so much support, even though I feel so lazy. I feel like I'm 26 years old and I'm not getting anywhere, but that's besides the point. Right now my son needs me, so that was the point from resigning, because we're in and out of the ER, we're in and out of doctor's appointments. He just needs me right now, point blank. So anyways, so from the last update that I did 2 seconds ago, or that you saw 2 seconds ago, they decided to keep going on antibiotics, and it turns out that the last blood culture that they did, nothing grew back. So luckily the line was saved. Hallelujah, thank you Jesus. And they didn't have to replace it, they didn't have to go in. So, but for the pneumonia and the line, just to be sure, he came home on antibiotics for like 7 days, 10 days after we got out of the hospital. So he was on those same antibiotics the entire week and a half he was in the hospital. And then he came home on it for another week and some days. So we were having to do TPN, lipids, his meds, the shots, and antibiotics for like 10 days. And then we ended up back in the ER. So 10 days after that, so we ended up in the ER last Wednesday. Today is Friday, November something. Good Lord, I don't know anything. Hold on, let me unlock my watch to see what day it is. And I'm driving, so I need to look at the road. Okay, today is November 29th, Friday, November 29th. We're the day after Thanksgiving. Last Wednesday, I believe it was November 20th, we had to rush Lorenzo to the ER again, and because he broke out in hives. So I left my house to go talk to my uncle and my cousin and to meet up with them for like an hour. And as soon as I pulled up to the restaurant, my mom was like, he's breaking out in hives. We don't know what's going on. He's itching all over the place. And his at-home nurse had just given him Benadryl. And I was like, okay, I'm not going to panic. Call me back in 10 minutes and let me know how the Benadryl's doing. So my mom calls me back. We're taking him to the urgent care because they're not going away and they're spreading, and there's one developing on his line, on his chest. And apparently we're still recording. Okay, so she said there was one developing on his line, on his chest, so she's going to take him to urgent care with our at-home nurse. And I was like, okay, I'll just meet you there. So we get there, and this particular day, I follow Cook Children's on Instagram, of course, because we spend half of our time there. So, fun fact is that night, I saw on Instagram that it was like one of the craziest days in a really long time at Cook Children's ER, because over 600 families were seen for their sick kids, and we were one of them. So we tried urgent care first, which is like a block away from the actual ER, and they were like, you know, you can do an online check-in, but it was noon. And the lady was like, you can do an online check-in, but the closest check-in time for online is like 2. But you can go ahead and reserve that spot, but you're not guaranteed to even be seen at that time because we're so backed up with kids, and we're still seeing walk-ins as well. So we were like, holy crap, like, no, I'm not about to put Lorenzo through this torture for 3 hours just to see if we'll be seen at that time. Because he was scratching the hell out of his head and his chest. And I was concerned, and my mom, we were concerned for the fact that like they were developing on his line, like on his chest where his line is. So we take our chances and we go across to the ER. We already knew what the ER looked like because we were there an hour earlier just to pick up his meds. And everybody was like, oh my gosh, is Lorenzo back? Because the hospital knows us. Like, almost everybody that walks around that place knows us. So we were like running to everybody, like, are y'all back? And we were like, thank God, no. You know, like, we just came to pick up a prescription. And they were like, y'all better not be back. Totally jinxed ourselves. So, yeah, we ended up back an hour later. So I prayed, not that other families didn't deserve to be seen just as quick as we did, but for kids who have central lines and PICC lines, they have to be put in front of other kids who are going in there for like sniffles and a low-grade fever, things like that. So, and the fact that he has a trach, a central line, this will not stay up, and I don't know why. Okay, so the fact that he has a trach, a central line, an ileostomy bag, a vesicostomy, he has to have breathing treatments, and now he has hives all over his body and a fever. as soon as we did the check-in, they took him to the back. We did not sit down. We did not wait. Nothing like that. So as soon as we checked in, we got taken to the back. We got a doctor. They started blood tests. They started urine tests. They started blood cultures. And everything came back good, luckily. But we have no idea where these hives came from. We were only in the hospital, thank God, for 2.5 days. Oh, sorry. So, no, maybe not even then. Because we got back to the emergency room. We got to the back of the emergency room at 12:30 p.m. on a Wednesday, and we were released Friday morning. So we weren't there too long, but it was just frustrating because it's frustrating to me as a mom because I keep taking Lorenzo to Cook's, and because they already know all of his history, they already know this and this and that, but we don't get answers for Lorenzo ever. So as long as we've been going there, we have no answers. And I know it sounds crazy, like, okay, you're being dramatic, but they've never given us a diagnosis for why we are there. So, like, they give us obvious stuff on discharge papers, like, came in with hives, came in with fever. Like, yeah, we know that. But, like, for them to give us a diagnosis, we don't know. So, it's, like, it's frustrating, again, as a mom. It's frustrating to my parents, as grandparents, because we take him there thinking, okay, this is what it is, and this is how you treat it. But we never get those answers from there. So, we didn't get an answer for his hives. We just got that it's not life-threatening. It has to be viral, because his hives weren't in one spot. They would appear, disappear, and then appear over here and disappear, and then appear on his head and disappear, and then appear on his cheek. And they said that when they move around like that it's more viral. So they put him on like a wide spectrum of antibiotics. So like a wide spectrum antibiotic is when like they give you one antibiotic a couple times a day, but it's wide spectrum. Like it can treat a bunch of different things at one time. Since they didn't know specifically what was causing it, they did that. So, like I said, it's just frustrating. It's just frustrating to know that we walk in there wanting answers and we don't get any. But luckily, like they said, it's not life-threatening. It wasn't anything that they were really, really worried about. So, I mean, we were okay. They just did Benadryl and they did a wide spectrum antibiotic, and he seemed to be okay. We came home. But that has been our life for the past couple weeks, and honestly, I'm glad I resigned from my job, because just since I resigned from my job, maybe 3 weeks ago now, he's been to the doctor like 6 times. Well, he has a bunch of different doctors, so he's had like 6 different doctor's appointments, and he's been to the ER twice. So I guess I made a good decision. But I mean, he has at-home nurses and things like that. So they just said, you know, if hives come up again, just keep doing Benadryl, keep him comfortable, distract him, play games, things like that. But if he develops like a high fever, then of course we need to take him in, because there is a source of the fever. So that is the update for now. This video will probably upload it very soon. I mean, you're already watching it, so it's already uploaded, haha. But as we keep going through life with Lorenzo, I will keep everything updated. And I know y'all would rather see like me keep you guys updated, like with him in the hospital and seeing him. But the past couple times, it has just been so chaotic. Like, we wake up, doctor, med time, nurse comes in, a social worker comes in, a case manager comes in. Like, there is absolutely no rest in the hospital at all. So whenever we get a chance to actually do that, or we have a chance at home, the videos will include Lorenzo a lot more. But unfortunately, this one at this time just had to be me talking. But thanks for watching these updates about Lorenzo. And like I said, this channel, I didn't name this channel like Ashley and Mom, or Mommy and Lorenzo, or anything like that like I had before, because before it was specifically just gonna be Lorenzo. But this channel's probably gonna be a lot. Like, I did like a hair tutorial on how I do straighten my hair after it's like kinky curly. So
So that one will be up soon. Like, if you're interested, if not, cool. I don't know. I'm not trying to be like a YouTube guru. It's just, I know people like to see like different stuff. So more updates on Lorenzo coming soon. I didn't do any recordings for Thanksgiving because he was with his dad half the day. And so, yeah. Maybe opening his Christmas presents will be a video and things like that. But if you're interested, stay tuned. Love you all so much, because the ones who view this are the ones who know us personally, I'm sure. So I will be back. Thank you.